The following program is presented by the Metropolitan Library Service Agency.
Hello, welcome to All About Kids, a program focusing on the interests of children and young people and some of the issues affecting them. Today we'll be talking with Children's Services Librarian Lois Andersen of the Oxboro Community Library in Bloomington and staff members of the Bloomington-Richfield Family Center, as well as some of the participants in the parenting programs of the Family Center. We'll be talking about family literacy and ways in which parents involved in these programs can work with their children, help prepare them for school. Lois, children's librarians aren't usually seen in the vanguard of social work or social activity, but more and more we're becoming involved in partnerships and collaborations with our colleagues in public health, in social services, and in community ed. You're the children's librarian at the Oxboro Community Library in Bloomington, and your neighbors right across the street are the folks from Bloomington Community Education, and you're involved in some very exciting programs with them. Why don't you describe some of the work you're doing?
I'd love to, because it's an exciting project. We got interested not so much in the area of social work as in fostering reading skills and a love of reading, which of course is what librarians love also. And started making some liaisons with the Bloomington Education Center, that building, which is right across the street and forms a natural alliance with the library. The building houses the family education, the SHAPE offices, which is adult education basically. They do some volunteer programs out of there, tutoring. We provide study space for a lot of tutors and their clients in the library. We have had some classes held in the library where the students then have access to all of the materials. Out of all of this, formed a working relationship with many of the people who are running these various programs. And one of the most exciting is the parent-to-parent program. This is a volunteer-operated program in which the library is one component of their training. They bring their clients then into the library. We've done story times, we've done tours for the parents, showing them the facility and the materials that are available in the library. So it's worked out to be a very healthy relationship.
I bet one of the things it's done too is kind of dispel that myth that librarians are creatures with sensible shoes and buns and silence is the rule. And
my hair has never been long enough to wear a bun. But yes, it does do that. They see us as a real person who is concerned about literacy issues and not just sitting and reading all the books in the library.
Do you find that some of the people who are involved in the parent-to-parent program have not used a library either because they've not had that experience as children themselves, or because they were concerned about rules and regulations, or possibly because reading isn't a part of their life?
All of the above, I would think, but we have tried very hard to have our staff go out of their way, the clerical staff, the professional staff, go out of their way to make things as easy as possible. Because many of these people have had bad school experiences. They perceive the library as another authoritarian institution. They are, you can see the body language when they come in. They just kind of tighten up and are real dubious about, I don't know my way around, how will I ever manage all of this? And we just try to keep it very cool and down to earth so that they know we are there to help.
I think most people have two memories, either that stereotype librarian that kind of ruined the experience for them, or the librarian that was the friendly person that really encouraged them to do their reading. Now, in your work with the staff of these programs, you think you've been able to convince them that the library can be a partner in the kinds of programs that are working to help parents and their children?
They have such high quality staff all the way through the Bloomington Education Center that we really didn't have to sell that at all. They were very grateful to find that we were willing to work with them and share our expertise. It's kind of the old thing of why reinvent the wheel when there are other people to do it who are already trained to do it. So it's been a very easy working relationship.
I could tell that when we went out to do the videotaping, the staff was enthusiastic, and the parents in the program certainly were enthusiastic, and obviously had a real rapport, not only with the volunteers, but with the Bloomington SHAPE staff and the parent-to-parent staff.
Right.
And it was fun watching the children in their various activities.
That brings up another point. When you get involved with these programs and groups of children coming in, no longer is the library the shh kind of a place.
Great. Well, let's go take a look at the program and listen to some of the people who are involved in it.
Good. I think you'll enjoy it.
One hears a great deal these days about literacy and the lack thereof. But just how serious is the problem? Is it really as bad as the media would have us believe? In the United States, over 25 million adults read below the 5th grade level, a competence that's necessary for survival and employment of the most conventional kind. At least another 35 million adults read below the 9th grade level. So we have 60 million people who are functionally illiterate. The toll taken on the children of these adult non-readers expands the problem. The real tragedy, however, is in each of the lives affected. The loss of dignity and hope is tremendous, and the further the cycle of hopelessness advances, the harder it is to break. Carol, as director of the Bloomington-Richfield Family Center, can you describe for us what your institution is doing to help families?
The Family Center has been in existence for about 15 years. Our program varies anywhere from offering regular 10-week sessions of classes to going to apartment complexes and offering families support there. We do home visits, we have speakers, workshops, bag lunch seminars at businesses. And basically what we do is provide parents with education, support, and some of the tools that they need to do the best job they can in their parenting. I think all families that are in our society today are at risk. We all have different stresses, and it's becoming more and more difficult to be a parent. There's all kinds of information available to parents, but to access is sometimes difficult. People feel very isolated, and it doesn't matter whether they're a low-income family or they're a high-income family.
The Committee for Economic Development has issued a report called Children in Need, and part of that says that the key is not just whether a family is poor, but whether the kids are getting the kind of parenting that can provide the motivation to overcome poverty. Does part of the problem stem from a lack of parenting skills?
Well, I think that if you don't get parents involved, and again, give them those tools and confidence in themselves when their children are young, that the whole problem perpetuates. Again, I think that parents are they're the first and most influential teachers that a child will have, and so if they're not building the child's self-esteem and praising them, giving them encouragement, it's real hard for kids to get that from other places if they don't get it at home. We're also doing more to accommodate the dual income families by going out into the businesses and giving bag lunch seminars, that kind of thing. It's also, I think, real important to go out to where families are versus always expecting them to come to us.
Moving on to another component of Bloomington Education Center, we come to Amy's bailiwick. Can you fill us in on what things the SHAPE staff are doing to combat illiteracy?
The SHAPE program, and SHAPE stands for South Hennepin Adult Programs in Education. We're like the public school system for adults in Richfield, Bloomington, Eden Prairie, and Edina. And we work with up to 1,000 adults a year into our program. And they come to our program to work on their basic skills in reading, writing, math, spelling. It could be to achieve a competency-based high school diploma, to prepare for the GED exam, or just to improve their basic skills. They also come to us to learn English as a second language because we have many foreign-born adults in the South Hennepin area. We have some joint programs with the Family Center that deal with family literacy. We have free career counseling for our students. And we have also work with other districts for the under 21 students who need to get a diploma. In particular, there's a program called PI, which is Parent-Infant Education, that helps young parents with parenting, diploma, and vocation.
Oh, great. You mentioned the term family literacy. How do you define that?
Family literacy really has to do with a cycle. You know, so many things are passed down in a family from generation to generation. And family literacy has to do with the way a family views education, views learning, what their not just their attitudes, but also their skills and habits in terms of having books in the home, reading to their child, encouraging question asking. All these kinds of things have to do with how a family handles learning and education, and it's kind of a pattern that is passed down from family to family.
Mm-hmm. Last year, you received an award for an innovative program that you developed called Parent to Parent. Could you tell us a bit about the program and how it came into being?
Parent to Parent is what we call a family literacy program, and to me, one of the most exciting things I've ever worked on. The idea came to me several years ago. I started my job here working as a volunteer coordinator in adult literacy, and in the meantime I volunteered in my children's classes during the day at their elementary schools. And when I would volunteer in their classes, I would really get worried because I'd be helping the children who were struggling. And they would maybe be in the 4th grade but reading at the 2nd grade level. Or they'd be in the 5th grade but doing math at the 3rd grade level. And even though the schools were doing their best and trying with what resources they had, I knew that one of the most important links that was missing was that a lot of them didn't have families behind them. Their parents either didn't have the skills or the knowledge or the self-esteem to support their children's learning. You know, and a child is only qualified for special help usually during certain grades, and if that, once you're out of that grade, if that help's not there, what does that child do if they don't have a parent behind them? And I used to be a little more cynical before I got my job here, thinking, gee, why don't these parents care about their kids? Why aren't they doing anything? And then when I started working here and I started to meet adults who were coming to us who had literacy needs, I realized they love their kids just as much as anyone else. They want their kids to succeed. Nobody ever read to them. They just don't know about it. You know, they lack the skills, the self-esteem, the awareness. And so those kind of things were rumbling around in my mind about how these parents care about their kids and how these kids, I mean, I wonder, where are these kids going to be in 10 years? I'm afraid they're going to be future people in our program 15, 20 years down the line after a lot of suffering and pain. And so I thought, well, what can we do to help these parents realize their role, how important it is that they support their child's learning efforts? How can we give them the self-esteem and the skills and the tools they need to do this with and for their kids? And I thought as a public institution it was up to us to figure it out. And we got a grant from Norwest Banks, cooperation from the business community. We worked together with Public Health, Family Center, the SHAPE program, the public libraries, and the Minnesota Literacy Council, and pulled together, I think, a program that's really exciting and really important.
It is exciting from what I've seen. Wendy, as the family literacy lead teacher for the Family Center, could you explain the actual structure of the parent-to-parent program?
Well, right now we have about 15 families involved in the program, and we have volunteer parents who work on a weekly basis with these families. These volunteers come to us through the Family Center or through ads in the local newspapers like the Sun Current, and through other programs that they've heard about literacy. And what we do is they come once a month to the Family Center and take part in kind of class where the children and their parents play together, doing different activities. And then about every 2 months, we have field trips where they go as a group to see things like the library or a nature center. We've gone to an apple orchard and on a sleigh ride so that they get out and are in the community.
How do you reach out to the families needing your help?
Well, this has been done with a lot of collaboration with SHAPE and with public health nurses and with the schools in the Bloomington-Richfield area who have noticed maybe a family who has a sibling, or they have a child who's in 1st or 2nd grade and they know that there are siblings at home that really need some readiness experience to help them in school, and then they refer the families to us. But the families are more than happy to be involved in the program because they really want to help their children get ready for school.
Could you briefly describe the kind of training and curriculum that you've set up for the program?
Well, we've set up a 12-hour training program that goes over a period of 3 days, and we spend a lot of time talking about child development and talking about readiness kinds of activities where we do things with large motor skills and small motor skills and sensory experiences and cognitive games like sorting and matching. And then basically just a lot of talking to children, asking skills, and just reading stories to kids, and singing songs and doing finger plays, that kind of thing.
Okay. And now let's visit with 2 of the families and their volunteers who have made use of the parent-to-parent program.
Well, we have with us today one of our parent-to-parent families and their volunteer. This is Cheryl Bakke and Christelle Vandenberg, who's 3, and her mom, Cindy Vandenberg. And they're going to talk a little bit about what kinds of things that they do at Christelle's house and when they come and visit at the Family Center. How did you find out about parent-to-parent, Cindy?
Through a public health nurse who comes to see my son, and she thought Christelle would like the program, in which she has really enjoyed it.
And how did you find out about it, Cheryl?
I found out at the Family Center. They handed out flyers one week when we were there. And it sounded like an interesting program.
And so you two get together about once a week, and can you give us kind of an idea of some of the things that you do when you go and visit with Christelle?
Well, I usually bring an activity each week for the 3 of us to work on. Usually we work on colors, we do art projects and things like that. We do Play-Doh. And then I usually have at least 1 or 2 books, and we read books. And sometimes we play outside.
What kinds of things do you like to do when Cheryl comes to your house, Christelle?
Go to their house.
What do you like to do when she comes to your house? Do you like her to play with Play-Doh or read stories?
Play-Doh.
Work with Play-Doh? That's fun. Okay. And do you ever sing songs together? Okay. Cindy, what kinds of things have you gotten out of being involved in parent-to-parent?
Well, we learn together, and we learn to play and make quality time together. Like Christelle made Cheryl a necklace the other day, and we gave it to her this afternoon.
Very nice.
And we just have a lot of fun. I think Christelle gets a lot out of it because Cheryl helps her with her counting and her colors, and I really think Christelle enjoys it.
Have you gone to the library with Cheryl? And did you check out some books there and bring them home? And then does your mom help? Does she read you stories? Okay.
And Cheryl with me doing.
She does too? Good. Have you been able to take advantage of any of the field trips that we have in our program?
Well, we missed one. We haven't been in the program that long.
We're having a picnic coming up in
we
June.
heard about that. And we're excited about it.
And you come. We have monthly meetings at the center on the 3rd Monday of every month, when you can come and meet the other kids in the program and play. And are you going to do that today? And the theme for the month is flowers, and we're going to make some things with flowers and read stories about flowers. Okay. Well, thanks.
This is Wanda Polk and her daughter Crystal, who's 5, and the volunteer that works with them, Carrie McKelvey. How did you find out about the program, Wanda?
From a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
She used to bring her daughter, and so I started bringing Chris.
Good.
The last couple of weeks, Crystal and Wanda and I have been working on senses. So what I brought this week, we've talked about 2 of them. But Chris, can you remember when we talked about some of the things, the 5 senses? Can you show me which ones have we talked about? Remember what we talked about? Last week, did we talk? Mm-hmm. That's right. And you found some things around your house that felt different ways, didn't you? What else did we talk about? That was kind of...
Fluffy my hair.
Mm-hmm. We talked about how soft your hair was. You remember what we talked about last week?
Touching.
We talked about touching and what?
Feeling.
And feeling. We sure did. And what do we use when we touch and feel, Chris?
Hand.
You use your hands. That's right. Well, this time we're going to talk about tasting. So that's the funny picture of the mouth. Because what do you use when you taste? Your mouth. And what's inside your mouth? Your tongue and your teeth. So, look at these 2 things. There's in here, there's 2 different things and they look the same. See them? They're both, what color are they?
White and white.
They're both white. And can you smell them? Do they smell the same? They don't. Do you know one of them, Crystal, is salt, and one of them is sugar. And how can you tell?
Salt.
How do you know?
Because it's not like this, so this one is sugar.
You think that one's sugar? How did you know that? How did you know which was salt and which was sugar?
This one kind of take the water sticky on.
It's a little sticky. Do you want to try tasting and see if you can tell if you were right, if this one is sugar?
Tasting, yeah.
You don't want to try it? Can you tell?
You want to taste it?
Want your mom to taste it? You want to taste this one, Wanda, and see if she was right?
No, why don't you?
I'll taste it.
Right, this one is sugar.
She was right. You're right, Crystal.
And that one is salt.
Wanda, can you tell us some things that you think about the program that you've gotten out of being involved in the program?
Sugar.
Sugar?
It's helped me a lot. Spend more time with Chris, and we do a lot of things that we didn't used to do.
Good. Well, thanks for coming and playing this game with us today and tasting that sugar and salt. Which one do you like better? Sugar.
Parent to Parent is ending for the year. Actually, we're coming to the close of another school year. Some of you will be going through the summer. What are some things that you've liked about Parent to Parent? Can you name a few things?
Well, just the time she takes to come over and take Jeff places, and she doesn't only stay an hour, she stays as long as she can.
Mm-hmm.
Different things she does.
So you feel like she's willing to give you some extra time?
Yeah.
Too, huh? Neat. Orange, you had mentioned that you like the field trips. How have they been beneficial for you and your kids?
For taking them places that I normally wouldn't take them.
Okay. So it's like an extra support for you then? Okay. What are some other things from Parent to Parent that you've liked?
I've liked the parent discussions, getting together, talking things out amongst all of us.
Okay. You feel you're not so alone.
Right.
You have other people going through the same sorts of things.
That's right.
How have your kids benefited from Parent to Parent? What are some things that your kids have gotten out of the program?
Well, my daughter's learning how to count.
All right.
She's learning the colors, and she really teaches her things that will be helpful to her later on.
And my volunteer thinks Jeff's very wise, so she does a lot of harder things with them that I wouldn't do with them. So I'm more down with the numbers and the ABCs, and she's helping them write. And
Yeah, and Chris, she's learned how to behave more. She listens a lot, and she does a lot of things I tell her to do.
I think that's the outings that helps.
And it makes us feel good as parents to see our kids change. Is that?
Yeah, it's been a big change.
Oh, yes, big change.
What are some things that you've done in your homes when the volunteer isn't there? What kinds of things do you do?
Well, we get together and we paint T-shirts and go to the zoo a lot. That we used to didn't do that much, and play games a lot and stuff, things like that.
Have you anyone felt more confident as a parent that when you send your kid to school in next year, are you going to feel more comfortable with the school system?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot more comfortable, because they learned a lot of things here that they need to know when they go to school.
Okay. What are some things that some ways that your children have changed from the beginning of parent to parent to now? What are some changes that your kids that you've seen in your kids?
They take turns better. Because both Jake and Jesse have to take turns like Judy, and it works out better.
It's been real neat the way I've seen all of you grow, and as I've talked with you over the past, some of you over a couple of years, how parent to parent has given you more confidence as parents. I remember some discussions where no one would say very much at all, and it's neat to hear you being able to talk about what the program has done for you and how it's helped give you more confidence in dealing with your kids, in dealing with the school system, and looking forward to life. Appreciate you all coming to visit with us today and to share with each other. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks to Lois Andersen, the staff members from the Bloomington-Richfield Family Center, and the parents and children we spoke with today. And thank you for joining us on All About Kids. Please tune in again.
This has been a presentation of Hennepin County Library in conjunction with the Twin Cities Metropolitan Library Service Agency. We thank you for watching, and we hope you visit your public library often.